The billionaire mocked a single dad. "Quit if you dare." Seconds later, he started packing. The conference room fell silent the moment the billionaire slammed his hand against the polished oak table. Every executive lowered their eyes. Every employee froze. At the far end of the room stood a tired single father, wearing a faded blue work shirt, holding a folder filled with months of reports no one had bothered to read. The billionaire smirked as dozens watched in disbelief. He challenged the man to quit if he really believed he deserved better, certain that fear, unpaid bills, and a little daughter waiting at home would force him to stay. But instead of begging, arguing, or apologizing, the single dad quietly walked back to his desk, opened an old cardboard box, and calmly started packing his belongings. What happened over the following weeks would cost the billionaire far more than his pride, proving that dignity is worth more than any paycheck. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is never weakness, and that every hard-working parent deserves respect and a second chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Heartfelt Chronicles for more unforgettable stories that remind us humanity still matters. For nearly 12 years, the single father had been the quiet backbone of one of the country's fastest-growing manufacturing companies. Every morning he arrived before sunrise, long before executives entered the glass headquarters. He wasn't the loudest employee, nor the one chasing promotions or applause. He simply solved problems that others couldn't. Machines kept running because of him. Projects finished on time because he stayed late. Younger employees learned because he patiently taught them. Yet very few people knew what his evenings looked like after leaving work. Every day, he rushed home to a small apartment where his 8-year-old daughter waited alone after school, often finishing her homework at the kitchen table, while dinner slowly cooked in an old rice cooker. Since losing his wife to a sudden illness years earlier, every responsibility rested on his shoulders. He became both father and mother, provider and comforter, carrying grief without ever letting his daughter see how heavy it truly was. The company changed dramatically when its aging founder retired and handed control to his ambitious billionaire son. Unlike his father, who believed loyalty built great businesses, the new owner believed only numbers mattered. Employees became statistics. Experience became an expense. Compassion became a weakness. Expensive renovations transformed the headquarters into a luxurious monument of glass and marble, while budget cuts quietly eliminated family benefits, training programs, and employee appreciation events. Fear slowly replaced loyalty. People stopped sharing ideas because mistakes were punished publicly. Smiles disappeared from the hallways. Despite the changing culture, the single father remained committed. Whenever equipment failed, he stayed until midnight fixing it. Whenever deadlines became impossible, he found solutions instead of excuses. He never asked for recognition. His greatest motivation was simple. Every paycheck meant school supplies, rent, medicine, and one more month of stability for his daughter. She often told her friends that her father could fix anything, and perhaps she was right. He repaired broken machines all day and broken hearts every evening by making sure she never felt alone. Then came the quarterly executive meeting that would change everything. The billionaire entered the conference room furious after investors questioned falling profits. Rather than examining poor leadership decisions or reckless spending, he searched for someone to blame. Department managers nervously shifted responsibility until attention landed on the quiet operations specialist, who had recently warned executives against outsourcing critical maintenance work. His recommendations had been ignored. Now the very failures he predicted had begun costing millions. Instead of admitting the mistake, the billionaire mocked him in front of everyone. He accused him of lacking ambition, questioned his value, and suggested that if he was unhappy with management, he should simply quit. The room remained painfully silent. Everyone expected the exhausted father to apologize. They knew his circumstances. They knew he couldn't afford unemployment. But dignity has a breaking point. Without raising his voice or showing anger, the single father calmly thanked everyone for the opportunity he had been given over the years. He walked out of the meeting, returned to his workstation, removed a framed photo of his smiling daughter, folded his worn blue jacket, placed his notebooks into a cardboard box, and quietly packed everything he owned. Employees watched from across the office with tears forming in their eyes. No dramatic speech followed, no revenge, only quiet self-respect. The billionaire laughed when he heard the news. He confidently declared the company would replace him before the end of the week. He had no idea how much knowledge had just walked out the front door. Within days, production delays multiplied. Small technical issues became major shutdowns because no one fully understood the systems the single father had maintained for over a decade. Emergency repair costs exploded. Clients complained about missed deliveries. Experienced employees who had admired the father's integrity quietly began resigning too, believing loyalty no longer mattered inside the company. Meanwhile, life outside the corporation wasn't easy for the single father. Savings disappeared quickly. He skipped meals so his daughter never had to. Some nights he secretly worried whether he had made the biggest mistake of his life. But every time doubt appeared, his daughter hugged him and reminded him that she was proud of him because he had refused to let someone treat him without respect. Those simple words became stronger than any salary. One afternoon, while helping repair equipment at a neighborhood community center in exchange for a small donation, he met the owner of a struggling family manufacturing business. Unlike the billionaire, this elderly businessman valued honesty more than impressive resumes. After listening to the father's practical ideas for improving production, he immediately recognized genuine talent. Instead of offering only a job, he invited him to become an operating partner with profit sharing and complete authority to rebuild the company from the ground up. It was an opportunity unlike anything he had imagined. The single father accepted, not because of the money, but because for the first time in years, someone believed in his character rather than simply using his skills. Months passed. The small company slowly transformed. Employees were treated with respect. Suggestions were rewarded instead of ignored. Families received flexible schedules during emergencies. Productivity increased because people wanted to succeed together instead of working through fear. Customers noticed the difference. Orders doubled. Investors arrived. Industry magazines praised the company's remarkable turnaround, calling it one of the year's greatest business success stories. Across town, the billionaire's empire continued collapsing. Several major contracts were cancelled after repeated operational failures. Shareholders demanded answers. The media criticized toxic workplace culture. Internal investigations revealed that nearly every expensive crisis could be traced back to warnings the single father had made long before leaving. The financial damage eventually exceeded $1 billion through lost contracts, lawsuits, and declining company value. The billionaire finally understood that the most valuable assets inside a business are not luxury offices or expensive titles. They are loyal people who quietly dedicate their lives to helping others succeed. One rainy afternoon, he visited the growing factory now managed by the single father. The modern building buzzed with laughter, teamwork, and confidence. Workers greeted their leader with genuine smiles rather than fearful silence. Watching this, the billionaire realized he had mistaken kindness for weakness and humility for replaceability. The man he had mocked was now leading a company that competitors admired. The single father welcomed him with calm professionalism. There was no desire for revenge, no humiliation, no celebration of another person's failure. His greatest victory wasn't to becoming successful. It was refusing to become bitter. Years later, his daughter graduated with honors. Standing proudly beside her father during the ceremony, she reminded him of something she had once whispered after he lost his job. She had and always believed courage meant doing the right thing, even when it frightened you. Looking around at the life they had built together, he realized those words had carried them through their darkest days. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like this video. Leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to Heartfelt Chronicles so more people can discover stories that remind us compassion is never wasted. Special request: before this story ends, comment below with "respect over fear" if you believe no paycheck is worth losing your dignity. Success eventually gave the single father comfort, but it was never the greatest reward. The true victory came the moment he chose self-respect over fear, hope over humiliation, and love for his daughter over obedience to someone who believed money made him powerful. Because in the end, billionaires may own buildings, companies, and fortunes, but only character can earn lasting respect. And sometimes, the bravest decision a person ever makes begins with quietly packing a small cardboard box and walking toward an uncertain future with nothing but faith, dignity, and the hand of someone who believes in them.